Most personalities online are assembled from trends, creators they watch, aesthetics they consume, basically the whole algorithm. And people nowadays has basically do not have their own identity. And what I mean by that is any person nowadays, if you ask them what kind of person they are, they can basically give like so many points that says like, I'm this kind of person, I consume this kind of content, I like this kind of stuff. But if we really think about it, most of us, I think basically most of us, I basically believe that nowadays have identities which are basically borrowed or which are not actually ours, or rather the identity that we have created by consuming rather than experiencing. One question that pops out is that, are we developing naturally, or like, are we developing naturally anymore, or like, are we just collecting traits? Because people used to grow mostly from real life environment, and now millions grow from the same algorithm. You might not realize this thing, but it might be a fact that you might also not have your own real identity. People are becoming curated identities instead of actually humans. Copying personalities from TikTok, aesthetic-based identity, losing their own originality. The reason I think is pretty much simple. It's the fear of being cringe. It's the fear of judgment. And this is very real for Gen Z and the generation later us as well. People basically filter themselves, all right? People basically borrow identities and like adopt this for some form of identity that they don't even really enjoy. Like they don't even really that's basically not their own actual identity. Basically they admit music they don't actually enjoy, like liking, but they actually say like that's their favorite music. They admit enjoy liking a show which they did not really enjoy, but they say like, oh, it was a great show because majority of the people said it was a great show. This fear of being cringed, the fear of being judged is what also create to lack of originality and people leading to basically copying the personality of others or adopting some form of identity which is not even theirs, because everyone wants to be cool, and looking uncool feels socially dangerous online, and everyone's like tries to be a part of a group where basically if something is trending or something is cool, regarded as being cool, they basically adopt and they just try to be similar, and it kind of creates a situation where everyone becomes similar, everyone adopts the same kind of identity until it becomes cringe and everyone stops doing that stuff as well. And this pattern where I say everyone trying to be similar, basically following a same trend, just basically adopting different kind of identities, not just because it benefits them, but because it makes them look cool. I realized this pattern lately when I was scrolling through Reels on Instagram, and I kind of see some people kind of very frequently popping up. The video was like some sort of manifestation of the people who was talking in the video. It was like, if my 20s doesn't look like this, I have failed, some sort of stuff like that. And they were basically manifesting their life. And I don't mean to judge them, and I have no business with that stuff as well. Who am I to basically judge them? It's their own life, and it's pretty much good that they are manifesting a dream life. But the problem, I would say, is when I was watching these videos, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was frequently saw this kind of videos where like, if my 20s doesn't look like this, I consider myself as a failure or some stuff like that. And people are like doing stuff like making videos, manifesting and stuff like that. And I was like, oh great. And this was like becoming a trend. And when I really watched the videos like for the full length, all of them, like seriously, even though the format might be same, like if the lifestyle they basically want, even though the format might be same, it's pretty much okay. Like having a trend, people manifesting like how they want their 20s to look like, it's pretty much cool. But when I looked into the videos, basically their whole lifestyle they want is exactly pretty much similar. Like basically majority of them, 90% of them, they will say stuff like, I want to wake up at 5 a.m, go run with the boys, cold shower, high protein meal, work for this long hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, return, make some money. They're the basic TikTok lifestyle. And I don't mean to judge them for wanting this kind of life, but every one of them who basically makes this kind of manifestation videos basically adopted this kind of way of manifesting and wanting a life that is basically pretty much similar. I don't mean exactly similar in a way, but they were pretty much similar. And I kind of realized this pattern, And the problem was not with the manifestation part. It was like becoming a trend and manifesting stuff like, I want my 20s to look like this, or I will consider myself as failure. That was pretty much good, like seriously. The funny part was when I realized that all of them wanted some form of same kind of lifestyle. And I realized that everyone nowadays, not just those people who made those videos, but every one of us, including me or you, have basically created our identity through the content we consume, or basically borrowed identity, which in some form may be good if that's what you actually want. But if you think about it deeply, it's something that is actually not something that we actually want, but because it makes us feel cool, or it doesn't really make us feel like we are left out. And see, trends replace personality too fast. Some days you will be a gym, you will be a gym motivated person for a few months, and then for the next month you will be in this monk mode state. Next you want to be you want to live a peaceful life in a farm, something like that. You are basically having an identity crisis, and this is where the problem lies. And as trends change, as your algorithm changes, you basically also change your way of thinking, your way of wanting how your life turns out to be. The trend change, your interest change, not because they truly change, but because the internet keeps on feeding you this kind of stuff. And this is where I will say solitude is probably necessary to know yourself. Alright, solitude is really necessary in my opinion, and solitude is important because if someone is always online, always consuming, always influenced, when do they have time for their own thoughts? Think about it. If you just keep on consuming content, stuff like that, you basically get influenced by this, you basically stay online all the time, even if it's, when do you have time for your own thoughts, for your own natural personality? And this is why I say solitude is important, the state of being alone. And yes, I don't mean loneliness, I mean solitude. Massive difference, right? This is also kind of the reasons, and because of all this fake identity, the identity crisis of people, most people kind of assume that they hate themselves, but in actual reality, most people do not actually hate themselves. They do not. They actually do not really know who they actually are. You may feel insecure, you may have a lot of reasons to basically hate yourself. But in reality, it might not be that you lack something or you're insecure, but it can be the result of basically not knowing yourself deeply. Your whole life, your whole identity is basically created by the content you consume, basically created by the algorithm, not by yourself. Most people might not realize this thing, but a lot of insecurity might come from unclear identity. Alright, you don't know who you are by yourself. Alright, your whole life, your whole identity you have been creating has been completely created by the algorithm, by the content you consume, which kind of leads to comparison. You compare yourself to other people, to the people you basically watch in the internet, and then your algorithm changes automatically without your consent, and then your algorithm changes automatically. You also change the way you think, your identity changes, and you basically try to become a lot of stuff at the same time, which also creates to stress, and it also kind of creates to basically makes you hate yourself. I hope you kind of get the point here. And I think a lot of us are still trying to discover who we are underneath everything we consume. Maybe the reason so many people feel lost is because they never spend enough time away from influence. So my question to you, my friend, is how much of you is actually you? Think about it. Are you becoming yourself, or are you becoming what you consume? This might sound like a very simple question, but think about it and answer it wisely, because this might change your life. I hope this video is helpful to you in some way. If you have any thoughts for this video or any problems with your life, you can definitely leave it down in the comments. Until then, stay disciplined.